CEO among us, Ro- uh, Ronald Binkofski. Did I pronounce it well, Ronald?
Yes. Yeah.
Great,
Ronald. Okay, whatever.
Ronald. Yeah,
Yeah.
CEO of STX Next, ex Microsoft executive. You might know STX Next, big software house in whole Europe, like the Python powerhouse, as I see it in all different marketing materials. They are the guys who do the CTO survey every year. If you didn't, if you don't know about that CTO survey, get it because there are a lot of great assignment, like insights on it. But today we will talk about actually um, the company, the evolution, the whole market. Um, and I will like to kick off with straight to it. Um, I think I have some video issues, so I will turn off the video because it seems that my internet is not the best. Give me 1 second. Okay, I think it's better this way, Ronald. Right?
I hear you well. I hear you well.
Perfect. So I would like to understand how is this switch, and maybe give us a bit bio about you. How is the switch from Microsoft to a company like STX Next? Is it like Microsoft is such a big brand in the world. You were executive there, and I just want to go right into the meat of things and understand how was for you that change.
Yeah, I think that's a question you usually hear when you were once working for a bigger company and then decide to go to a, I'm not a smaller but rather mid-sized company. And I think it all depends what role you played and how you were approaching your job in the past. For me, despite the fact that I played some significant roles for Microsoft, I was leading different virtual roles like being CEO in the Polish subsidiary. Later on, I was responsible for the whole market as a general manager. At the end, I was running Central Asia. In the meantime, I also was a general manager in Romania. So always kind of part of the leadership of Microsoft in Central Eastern Europe, right? And very close connected to the headquarters. I had the pleasure to meet Bill Gates, Steve Ballmer, Satya Nadella. You get all the big names on your table. But to me, the job was always on the ground. I always was concentrated mostly what's happening in the countries, how to serve our customers, how to get the best out of the local markets, right? So, and having such an approach over the years, it wasn't such a big change. The only change you need to learn to live with is that when you are a general manager of Microsoft, maybe some newspapers want you on the first page, right? When you run a
Mm,
smaller kind of less branded company, and I mean there are thousands of less branded companies and there are a few who are very famous, right? uh, you don't get the doors so easily opened. But as you build over the last for me it was 25 years of being on the market, you build an ecosystem of people who respect you, who did something with you in the past, did projects. There were tough times and you were helpful. You never let someone hanging. You never were unfair to people. Then you recognize that actually the value was not necessarily the brand you were representing, but also your personality, right? So you start to learn your own value rather than the brand which stands behind you, which is a great experience. And I really encourage every, let's say, manager who is working for many years in big corporations, that it's a refreshing exercise, and it proves your capabilities. It gives you new challenges. You need to learn to deal with those things with less resources, with different models. But at the end of the day, if you are honest to yourself and if you love the work, and you love to do things on the ground, at least for me, it wasn't such a big deal. Okay. But I think it's better to ask my my current colleagues from work, how they feel about it. Do I behave like a big guy from the big corporation, and then I'm grounded? Yeah, I hope I'm the second. Mm.
Yeah, I see also that lot. I also come from the corporate world, so and I see this whole structure of a corporation. Now, you, Microsoft and Honeywell, much bigger roles, but even on a smaller scale, you can still take the processes and try to have that very structured corporate way of doing things to help you in a mid-sized business, right? So I really believe that there is a lot of learnings that we can bring in the mid-sized businesses. But now
That
I would like
that
to,
that
yeah.
yeah, the last sentence. That's absolutely true. But also, sometimes smaller companies are surprised how corporate style they are. They always think that the big companies are very
Mm,
corporate style, and they're not. But I think in every company which gets some size, right, 100 people, 200 people, without process you can't manage. And I think the biggest challenge is not to lose the flexibility of the small company and get some processes done to improve the performance, right? And I mean, you should ask my people. They think they actually would give you feedback. I brought a little bit more unstructure into the company than the structure, okay? But I do
mm-hmm,
it
mm-hmm,
for a different person. We are in a very kind of very changing. I mean, IT industry is an environment where things are changing, right? And there was never kind of stagnation. You Every 2 years you have new technologies, every 2 years you have new motions, and I'm a big believer that you need to go with the flow. And going with the flow, you cannot be stuck to one model. You really need to be, 50% maybe very structured and stabilized, and the other 50 being innovative, open, flexible. That's how I see the IT industry. Okay.
I'm curious, like you came in 2023, where this demand of developers was going down slowly, right? Like there was a economical
Yeah.
uncertainty. There were coming all these, like the interest rates were going up, not that much funding for the startups or companies
Yeah.
to raise from VCs. Uh, Companies like STX, many others, they started to reduce their employees. So it was quite tough, at least how I see it from outside, for a CEO in 2023, right? And maybe even now.
Mhm.
How do you see all these changes? Like, is it something like you encountered in your experience? Is something like business as usual, or how do you look at all these uncertainty that is today, especially in the tech business
Mhm.
market?
It's a good topic. I mean, I can say I'm the unlucky lucky guy, because in all my career, I always was thrown away to the places where the things started to become tough, right? So I never got a job which was an easy ride. And that's why I'm saying I'm an unlucky lucky guy. Unlucky because it's always tough, right? But lucky because I could build the muscle of being prepared for such times. But coming to the particular situation of 2020, beginning of 2023, right, where the whole economy of kind of big demand for engineering capabilities to companies, especially to startups, but also to bigger companies, turned around, right? And it was a
Yeah.
ride with some disruptions. And COVID was supposed to be such a disruption, but it didn't become. But that was a ride since 2005, 2006, a really steep ride upwards, right? But me being from outside, coming from not from purely from the service environment, but rather from the product business, from the technology
Mm-hmm.
business. In Honeywell, I was running material handling division for central for EMEA and things like that. And actually, I had an insight into kind of, I think, on the daily basis, I had to look into 24 different lines of business, very different industries. When I was the
Mm-hmm.
president of Central
Mm-hmm.
Eastern Europe in Honeywell, you have a much bigger feeling what's happening in the industry. So When I was already signing off to move to STX Next, which was half a year before I joined, I already knew what's going to happen.
Mm,
And I was pretty vocal to the guys. But of course, when you inside and you live and you ride away for 18 years, because at that time STX Next was around 18 years old and was riding the ride, it was very difficult to people to first of all acknowledge that the change is coming and then act upon it. So and I even made a joke somewhere mid in 2023 to my team. I said, guys, I failed as a CEO because I didn't convince you earlier that the situation is real, right? And but on the
mm,
other side, it's absolutely natural. It's nothing which is unusual. But what I did, and I'm proud of, in the first half a year of 2023, we made two decisions which were important. One decision, adjust our size and our operations to the reality of the situation. We didn't put us into financial constraints, and the other thing was for half a year not making very big decisions because we needed to understand what is the new normal. And usually if you start doing decisions which are significant in times where the things are still developing, you fail or you usually not hit the target properly. I'm really proud of that we together as a team decided for such an approach. So we even moved our budgeting year from July to June. Instead of the normal scenario, I said, let's do another budget middle of the year. Let's understand where we stand. And that
mm,
turned out to get us much stronger understanding what we're dealing with, and also kept us grounded with our resources and where we invest, where we invest. And that allowed us also to do this strategic pivot and understanding much faster than others that we really need to push on the again getting back into the technology advancement, data engineering, machine learning, new AI topics, which were, they were not new, but they just become famous and everyone started to. So we quickly understood that this is the new wave we need to ride, right? So and today, if you look at STX Next, year later, we are doing our core job. We still the Python powerhouse. We the best in Python, but we pivoted already naturally from Python to data engineering, machine learning. We're doing
mm.
projects for our customer in that regard. So it became a natural right instead of something which was forceful. And I'm proud that the team actually inherited this idea very quickly and started to drive it without even my influence, right?
And this is great that you told me that this will happen, and how the things will go on because you were grounded, because you were working in the industry and working already with clients. But I'm just wondering, like, how can other businesses have these insights? Like, what we need to do as business
Mhm.
owners, as maybe working in tech companies, to get a better reality of things and don't wake up again and have our whole world explode in front of
Correct.
our eyes because we were, all in a bubble and we didn't realize, oh,
Mhm.
fuck, the money can go, out of like VCs
Yeah.
will not have money anymore or wherever. So
Mhm.
because let's be honest, like what we saw socially, like when the tech layoffs, it was like the disaster of the disasters, which actually it happened many times, even in
Yes.
2008 and so on. So mm, I just want to learn from your experience and from this, like what can we do to be more grounded on
I
in
believe
this
as a
situation.
business, yeah, I believe as a business owner, even if you're in a particular industry, you're not an island, right? And no industry is disconnected from the general market. IT industry in particular is a servant to the rest of the market. We have our own small world where we deal with each other, but usually if you think a little bit from the eagle eye view, IT industry is to serve all the other industries to work better, right? We digitalize processes, we move information left and
Mm-hmm.
right, and so on and so on. We're not doing IT for IT reasons. Of course there is a little of that, right? But in general, big portion of the IT, which is either consumer oriented or B2B oriented, our job is to serve others. So if the others struggle, don't expect that this doesn't touch us. If they other prosper, expect that this also gonna touch us in a positive way. Yeah. So coming back to what a CEO of such a company, of any company in the IT industry needs to do, he needs to get out of his house and spend half of the time talking to people from very different industries. Usually you talk to the other company which is more or less like ours, right? When I was at Microsoft, we were usually meeting IBM
Mm-hmm.
general manager, Oracle general manager, HP general manager, and myself. And we were talking stuff which actually was not really relevant because we had all the same problems. We were dealing with the same things. I learned big way moving to Honeywell, where you had really, I mean, my
Mm-hmm.
day started with building gloves for workers, and then ended up in the space and doing military stuff, doing building technologies. So you have, when you get a lot of insights from very different industries, you absolutely have a feeling what's happening in industry, and then you can pivot that, or let's say project it on your own industry, and then you much clearer see what's going to happen. And I tell you, when I was my first discussion with STX Next, I was, guys, there is the thing I said to them: listen, there is a little bit of, nobody really knows, but there is war in Ukraine, and there is everyone talks about the kind of problem in the industry, right? They're gonna be a little bit slowed down.
Mm-hmm.
Don't expect it's not going to touch you. And the typical situation happens: financing is poor. So obviously, our customers who are the startups will get in struggles. And the other thing is, bigger projects, which are not very necessary, get on hold. They're going to get frozen for sometimes. That's a natural thing when you, and I work in big companies. Always, when there was a struggle, first of all, do the things which are really necessary. Be a little bit cautious with investments, right? And exactly this happened, right? So it is not that I'm smarter, I knew it. I just know how the things work, right? So because I had exposure to that
Mm-hmm.
before. And if you want to be on top of the things as a CEO of a software house, of the product development company, and something like that, just don't spend your time always in your own industry. Talk to all the others, talk to your customers who are,
Mm-hmm.
and understand what's happening in their business, not in the IT you do for them, but in their real core business.
Mm-hmm.
And you will understand much more what's happening on the market, and then you will hear the signs much earlier. At
And
least
you
that
told
works for
us
me.
about
Yeah,
you told us
yeah.
about STX that they changed from Python Powerhouse to different type of value proposition. Can you tell us just a brief history about STX, or how they
Mhm.
started with Python, and why this switch, why now, and
Yeah.
what it brings new to the organization?
So STX Next started, I think, 2005, and I replaced the creator of STX. Is Maciek Dziergwa, great guy, really, really
Mm-hmm.
passionate what was he doing. And he put his bet very early on Python. So he was a Python developer. He saw that this is a technology which
Mm,
starts to gain more and more adoption. So he felt this is something, I believe it's a great story. And as usual, he started with one project, one custom, and started to grow, right? And over the years, this push on Python, and putting Python in front of the company paid really off. We positioned ourselves as a Python powerhouse. We did other things, of course. With the time, we started to enrich our portfolio: JavaScript, product design, whatever is needed to do a great software development. But Python was always in the core, and so that's where it started and brought the company to where it was before 2023, right? The company got an
it
investment,
was
so an investment.
Python. It was Python and an
Yeah.
industry, or just didn't really matter the industry, just Python.
I think we naturally pivoted to finance, so fintech. We pivoted to e-commerce and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. But
Mm-hmm.
it was honestly technology which we were bringing to those companies, and not their know-how.
Okay.
Right? We of course were in projects which had deep industrial processes, but that was not what we were advising. We were advising how to implement those processes. Now in 2023, clearly the whole, the the buzzword of AI plus everything what's behind started to get much more traction. And to me, it was very clear from the very beginning that most of the companies are not ready for doing any real AI. I mean, AI which is
Mm-hmm.
proprietary models that you get an advantage in the industry you're working on, that you build your competitive advantage on that, you improve your processes. So the industrial approach to that. So for me, it was clearly that's gonna be the game, and the starting point of the game is infrastructure, is data, proper data. Without data, you cannot do this.
Mm-hmm.
So we naturally understood that this is gonna be the pivot, and it's gonna be the next hot topic on the market. So we jumped on that, and today, over the last 1.5 years, this, even if we are still a big software development, Python oriented, JavaScript oriented, .NET oriented software developer, product design organization, which is actually a company in a company. We do a lot of data engineering work, and we do machine learning, and we start building great things. We have even our own approach to the to software development. We created a tool, or let's call it a system,
Mm-hmm.
which is called DeepNext, and that's actually a modeling of an AI-driven software development team. So actually, it is a team which builds a software, but there is no human being in that. It's just AI driven, right?
Oh
And we
wow,
get a lot of
that's
traction.
like.
People are so interested to want to talk to us, and they're excited, and we're pretty sure that that's gonna help us open door, showcase how AI can play a very very significant role in the future development of the business. So I think that was the way how we pivoted to this. Okay, but
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's a rather
So
natural development. Okay, go on.
a great time for you. I mean, you okay, on one side economic uncertainty, but on the other side the AI boom, right?
Yes, yeah.
So
And
you you you
and
you you,
guys,
you you took this
look,
opportunity.
this is nothing new in the IT industry. If you, I mean, I'm in the industry, it's getting to 30 years, right? I went through the object orientation, which replaced the structured software development. Then I remember Windows coming up with the first, Windows Server, which was competing with Unix, right? And everyone said that's gonna be distributed system. The next topic was e-commerce. The next topic was which was early stage in 2002. Then it collapsed. Then you had a wave of ERP system. There was a promise that every ERP system would replace any other system. Then e-commerce started to become the reality. Then we had different data models. Then Microsoft opened up for open source, right? Then you had cloud started to get traction. Then you had blockchain as a promise for whatever it was, and so on and so on. So this kind of technology evolvement and these hypes are coming all the time in the IT industry. I think the most important thing is to understand which one is profound. Which one is profound? Cloud introduction was profound. It changed really the way we
Mm-hmm.
started to look at IT resources as a platform. And previously, you could afford what you could afford. Now you can buy and rent, and you can do much bigger things you ever considered, even as a small company, because cloud technology become really mature, right? And I think the AI revolution is next real people. It's a real change in the industry, which will stay with us for longer, right? There were others like blockchain, just paid some.
Mm-hmm.
There was a big discussion, big pivot, but actually, at the end of the day, it served only a few things, and it started to be a natural tool for some applications, and that's it, right? I think with AI, we're living in a little bit different world, right? Like mobile was a big revolution. So yeah.
So I'm curious, like, to understand a bit the marketing for such times and for such audiences with with these changes. Is there like you guys target still the technology and what you can do, or there are some clear companies that you say, okay, so we can bring a solution for this companies, or how you market in this situation
Mhm.
such software house?
So very clearly, we know where our place in the world is, and we are a technology company, right? I mean, think
Mm-hmm.
think of this. I know that everyone wants to pretend is very strong in a particular industry. Until you do a software product which incorporates processes which are relevant to an industry, you're not an industry player, right? The
Mm-hmm.
industry players are the people who work in the industry. If you work with banks, the bankiers know what to do with the banks, right? If you try to build a
Mm-hmm.
system for banking, you need bankiers in your company. We know that. We are a company which is excellent in technology, and that's our strength. So our job is to help those
Mm-hmm.
industries to utilize technologies for their purpose and bring the modern stuff into and show them what possibilities they have, because the the typical way either the companies are positioned themselves as a consultants on the business side, so they like to consult the business processes but they don't want to implement them
Mm-hmm.
because it's a hell of work.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest of the companies
Mm-hmm.
are those who are, yeah, we will do whatever you decided to do. Tell us and we will implement it. STX Next technology, we even are collaborating pretty closely with some companies which do business consulting. We even considering to merge with one of them. And we start there. So our aim is to be in the early stage of developing what has to happen, but also take over the implementation of that. And this is very important because if I'm an IT director, if I'm a CTO of the company, for me, the biggest challenge is two things: what to do, but then really get it done, right? And managing internal resources might become a huge issue, right? It's a huge issue. So if I have a partner whom I really trust, who is with me for some years, and we have customers who work with us for nearly 20 years, right? And they know that whatever they think of, they come to us, talk about this. We consult them how the technology plays in this whole scenario, and then we implement it, and they know that we're not going to let them hang, right? And so on. Then you have a partnership, and this partnership lasts, and that's where the strength of STX Next is. We of course sometimes
Mm-hmm.
take jobs like, okay, we need something, can you help us with this? Yes, but this we don't like. We really like to be in the conceptual part of the story, and then really be then the implementer, because we feel like we own this together with the customers. We walk them through all the steps of the implementation. And especially now, you will see there will be millions of ideas how to implement AI scenarios, right? But if you look deeper, we are in a situation where currently everyone talks about it, but very little is done, right? There is a lot of POCs, there is a lot of trials, but really implementations that are impactful from the business process point of view, they are to come. And that's going to be a very, very big market. I'm pretty sure about this because it's always been like that, right? Think of cloud. I was in the very early stages and I worked for Microsoft at the time, So when we got Azure on our shoulders as people who were to bring those to the market, nobody wanted Azure. There were, especially in Eastern Europe, there was a wave of local hosters, right, who got even money from the European Union to build their data centers. So, and Azure
Yeah.
was not mature. Azure was just another hosting scenario, right? So there was really little argument to go for rather expensive Microsoft way of hosted your stuff versus local hosters who were pretty cost effective, right? But once the platform started to advance, once the platform started to show more and more capabilities, then you saw that with the maturing of this scenario, people had actually no choice. And I think it's going to be the same with AI. For some long period of time, there will be a lot of trials, and then the masters of the universe will come up from by nature. They will be the ones who are excellent in banking. They will be the ones who are excellent in industrial stuff, and so on and so on. And we actually aim to be part of that. Okay.
So I think the perfect match is to you guys being the technology subject matter expertise, and on the other side, you have like a business owner or process owner, which is the industry subject matter expertise,
Yes,
right? And then that's the match there, where okay, you come with that industry expertise, and this is the processes, and how can we technologically develop and
exactly.
improve that particular process, right? But saying that you can be both technological and industry expert, it's pretty hard, I suppose, right?
It's hard
Why
and
this?
there are
Yeah.
companies who do that, but they cannot, then they add a very very specialist on one industry, right? Or those who try to be everywhere, you call them. Those are the big four and so on. And they also struggle. They usually pretend to be everywhere, but they have the competence center in one place, and so on. And it's much more different. It's a different business model. It's a different economy behind it. For a company like mine, where the heart is passion for technology, that's the only way. And I think this is what our customers always appreciated with us.
So in that case, I suppose that the on marketing side, let's say when you want to target the company to work with, you need to look into, do we have subject matter expertise to work with uh, in that industry that want to work with us, so develop technologically, right? Or is there also an opportunity where you bringing a, as you said, business consultant, that you say, okay, I don't know, Deloitte or whatever, and you say, okay, you guys are subject matter expertise in the industry and we are in technology, and together we can help this particular company. I'm just trying to understand how how is a deal
Both
happening,
scenarios.
and
So
these.
yeah. We usually have both scenarios. So we collaborate with PwC and companies like that, right? So when they know what they want to do and they have struggled with implementing it, they come to us, right? But when we work directly with the customers, we usually work with the business owner. Okay. So the business owner knows what he
Hmm.
wants to do. He knows that he doesn't have the in-house capabilities to do that, and then the discussion starts. In some cases they are very advanced in the IT, so our job is more implement what they created, but that's rare actually.
Hmm.
Usually they
Hmm.
have a kind of vague idea how to do that, and they rely really on us to say, okay, this is the technology, that's the way to do that, that's the architecture of the application, this is how the user interfaces should work, right, how the processes should be
Hmm.
implemented, and so on and so on. So I think you find all scenarios, but we feel the strongest when we are part of the creation of the architecture and then implementing them, right? So we love to work with the business
Hmm.
owner.
Okay, and then you guys do this CTO survey. I just want to open
Yes.
this topic because um okay, you have all these
I think I lost you.
challenges. To shed some light on that, just tell us a bit, what are some of these
I lost the
challenges
last.
that now,
I lost you in the last
like
sentence. Can you repeat? Can you repeat here?
yeah, just what are some of the challenges that these CTOs have nowadays that uh, you guys can solve, or why they come to companies like yours? What did you see
So,
in this study or in this survey that you guys do?
so in the latest studies, we actually see what I told you, right? So we see that the companies, especially the bigger companies, are overwhelmed with the fact that while they have plenty of data, enormous sources of data, right? Especially
Mm,
production
the
companies, they
data.
had sensors everywhere. And they have systems which are dedicated to some particularities, right? I mean, machine learning is not nothing new. Predictive maintenance or predictive analytics is something which in the industrial environments is very, very natural. But getting all the data sources into a higher layer where you can do this, real, I call it applied AI scenarios, right? Where the
Mm-hmm.
artificial intelligence models you would love to create uh, will bring in the future the strong changes, both on the performance side, but also on the competitive advantage side, right? So leading in the industry, most of them figure out, okay, we have some places where we do that, but as a coherent approach, we need to get our data in order, right? We really need to have
Mm-hmm.
those data prepared for what we want to do in the world of artificial intelligence. So that's the topic number one. The topic of maintaining talent became less, but it's still a big topic, because
Mm-hmm.
while before it was more, there was a lot to do. Today keeping the best people is a challenge, right? It's a challenge, and it's always been, but it's more visible right now. Okay, and then investing in the right things. I think there is the currently kind of yeah, we know what we need to do, what we planned over the years, right? So we know what is the weakness of our IT environment. We know what is the next step with the system. A lot of upgrades are happening. A lot of still work around moving applications into cloud, which is really underestimated. People usually think it's a pretty simple plug-in, but if you don't rewrite those applications, if you don't prepare them for the cloud environment, you actually do a lousy job, because it's not gonna work. You know, it's not gonna bring you the benefits you wanted. Sometimes we're hearing about customers asking us to move a portion of the workloads back to the on-premise, because
Oh
the
wow.
commercial, yeah. Why? Because sometimes if you start blindly using the cloud environments, you might it might work, but it drives your billings too high, right? So you see
Yeah,
those
yeah,
things. But still, I think the biggest topic we hear in this surveys is this all is the, in a sense, the old world we've been living for some years, and we know that we have to advance, we have a plans, but now the new thing is coming up, and we're hearing from our CEOs, listen, what we doing in the AI world, right? And the CTO starts to say, okay, I have to act. Even I'm not ready for that. I need to fast get my data in order. I need to start prototyping and checking before I really will be able to serve my business partners in the company to get it done. So that's what we hear the most.
yeah. I think this AI thing is really interesting. So, can you tell us a bit more about this tool that you did? Because now, if we go open this topic of AI, I would really like to know more about this framework that you
Yeah.
guys developed internally, because it sounds very interesting. Is it more like helping the coders code, or is it more like a product, or it's what is it exactly helping
It
the CTOs or the teams?
so my team came to me and they said, listen, Ronald, you see what's happening, right? Everyone is talking about developers will have much less work because the you know the AI gonna create the source code for them, and so on, so on. And that's our core of our business, right? So they said, but
Mm-hmm.
we need to be ahead of time. And my team decided, let's show the world that on one hand side, this is exactly how it's gonna happen. So they started to build so really they do AI roles. You know, you have a designer, which is a it's
Oh,
a
wow.
virtual
Agents, maybe.
designer.
Mm-hmm.
There is the architect, there is the coder, there is a tester, and so on, so on. They give the task, and the team is just developing if they were human beings, right? And why we did this? We did
Wow.
it because we really believe that the switch will happen into delivering faster what needed more time in the past, but concentrating more on the content, on the quality of the project, of the right architecture, on moving fast and spending more time on the key aspects from the business perspective, less though from the technology perspective. So my team believes very strongly that we can be a leader with this, and I tell you, whenever we talk to our customers, or even on conferences where someone never knew us, this is a topic they really love, they want to talk to, right? And of course, it's an early stage, so the projects we can generate with this virtual team are probably not yet perfect, but this is working. And
Mm-hmm.
I suggest, if you have space in this podcast, I will give you Bartek, who is the brain behind it, and he will
Sure.
walk you through this.
Yeah.
It's actually a great thing. So it's much more fun to talk to him than to me about this topic, really, because he's passionate about
Yeah.
it. And they came for budget for me to do it, and I said, of course, guys, we are a technology company, so no discussion. But seriously, it's a great thing, and it's actually showcasing that generating code is an easy thing, by an AI chat or whatever. But doing it in a way that it starts to be an end-to-end project, and it works together, and then people can double check if this is working well, and I think it's a spot on for our industry. And for
But
us, we believe through this we can better serve our customers.
you never thought it could sabotage somehow the company because you don't need those developers anymore. You don't need to hire so on. I'm just wondering, out loud.
No, I tell you why. As I said, and sorry for saying that, I'm a pretty old man. I'm already
Please,
nearly 30 years in the
please, please.
industry. Yeah. But you know what I learned in the industry? That you can't stick to a models which is already evolving. You have to go with the model, right? And if you look
Mm-hmm.
at the history of the IT industry, there was always the fear that half of the jobs gonna disappear. And after this revolution, you had more jobs in the IT industry. There were many jobs that started to evolve, to started to do different tasks. And I strongly believe that the world of a developer as we knew it before is a little bit different world in the future, but it's as needed as it was before, right? So the conceptual task and the work which they will be spent on different things that it was in the past, but it's still going to be very needed. And actually I'm expecting again a huge boom in resources. The resources will be needed in order to do all the things the technology is bringing. Look at the, I mean, that was always the same when I remember I don't know if you wanted to talk about where they said, we will not need half of the architects because this object will talk to each other. So what we did, much more time on spending on building the objects, right? And so on and so on and so on. So I think mobilization, right? So when the mobile phones came and we started to have really usage on it in the business scenarios, we thought, okay, now nobody will ever again write something on the paper, right? And so on. So okay, we write maybe less on the paper. What we do in the virtual world is much more than we did before, and more people are working in this. And you could get endless examples of that. The great story about the IT industry is this is the IT industry with the heart of all industries. Without IT, no industry exists anymore. So this has to be this industry will be supporting all developments in all the rest of the world. So this industry is just, it has no choice, it's gonna grow, it's gonna be big, right? But being
Mm-hmm.
in this industry and trying to stagnate is a killer. So if you stagnate, if you believe that what I did 20 years ago would serve me for the next 50 years, then you signed your death sentence. Basically you need to go with the flow, and that's what we do with STX Next. We're just preparing for all the things which will be needed in the future, right? I lost you.
I wanted to ask you about competencies of people because this is changing, right? Like this is a whole AI and everything, and you being 30 years in the industry, I think you can predict a bit better than many others. What is that competence that me as a young or even developer or someone in the industry working in whatever um, position, what are those competencies that I need to develop so I can still be relevant in this industry when the huge AI will hit all the departments of an organization?
So I would give you the same advice if I which I would give to anyone who wanted to deal with the technology 20 years ago. One thing,
Mm-hmm.
learn one thing very well. Go deep into one topic because you learn the models, you learn the processes in getting deep into technology. And actually, I mean, it sounds fluffy, but it actually doesn't matter what it is. Take something which is
Mm-hmm.
which is currently on the market, right? You want to, I don't know, you want to be a data engineer, but get it done so that you're very excellent in this topic, not because this topic gonna prevail or it's gonna be job security, but it's gonna build you muscles on learning how to learn in the technology models and how to work with it. Second thing is read and try to follow the newest developments, not to follow all of them and try to be crazy about all of them, but you will build the muscle of understanding what's relevant, what's not, right? And once you figured out something is relevant, it's gonna stay on the market. Try to get some grips of that, So you have some deep knowledge, and you start to build a kind of, you know I will call it the architectural aspect, that you can integrate many different things into one, because that's going to be a very, very important capability. It's always in the IT industry, there will be no one model, there will be no one standard. So you need to be someone who can advise others how to find your way in this forest of technology, right? So, but still you need to know at least one how to do it deep, because if you don't know that, you will lose, you will just not be able to understand the deep insights, right, which are behind something, right? In order to assess something, if it's deep or it's a one night flight, you need to, while looking at it, understand what's behind, right? And in order to do that, you have to be once down there, right? i'm I'm now already 30 years and in the industry, and 25 years of that was mostly managerial jobs. At the beginnings, I was a developer, technician, and whatever. I still tried from time to time go very deep down into one topic, and I can't do it very well, but at least I'm seeking someone who is really deep in that, and I'm asking him, listen, give me 2 hours pitch on that, let me understand what's happening there, because if I don't do that, I lose the ground, and I lose also the connection to that, right? So my decisions will be bad. So that's the second thing. So you start to understand the ecosystem, you are very, the processes through the things you learned. And now the last thing is, try to be not introverted no, introvert is the wrong word. Don't to hide behind your knowledge, okay? Share your knowledge, go ahead. Don't be afraid to discuss it, don't be afraid to be confronted with situations where you recognize you were wrong. That's actually the best thing you can do. I see too many times people who are excellent, who really have all the two ingredients I said before, but they lack the social skill to be part of the society. And especially for the IT industry, you are actually a driver for the society. If you don't serve with
Mm-hmm.
IT the society, you become stay on the university then. Don't go out to the industry, right? No, but you know
Academic.
what I mean by that, it's so
Yeah,
important,
of
and it's
course.
so many times underestimated, and especially if someone is a genius in a sense, he thinks his job will solve itself. But today, in today's world, it's it's the combination of doing a great job and selling this job to others, that they understood what you do, because they will never recognize which genius things you did, because it's so complicated and not easy to understand, right? So building from the very beginning the social skill, that you work in a team, then you know how to bring you topics, that you know how to win other people for your ideas, is as important as the technology part. But if you bring those two things together, you will be always in a good spot.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot for these words. I mean, lot of nuggets, short time. I know that it's hard to compress all these years of experience, but guys, stxnext.com, they also have all the reports of the CTO survey. Uh, for sure, we need to talk about the AI agent and all these roles, because that's something interesting for our audience. Would be great to understand how that's done.
Remember the name DeepNext, and if you only want, I will talk to Bartek. He will be more than happy to spend time with this on
Please,
that and
that
explain
would be
and show.
great.
Okay, hey,
That would be
that's great.
great. Thanks a lot, and
Thank you.
all the best. Bye bye.
You too. Thank you for the time. Bye bye.
Bye.